you all want them to clap along with this. on. So we got this song. We should do a song where we can get up and dance. Let me show this thing again.
Sita wants to dance. Sita dance.
Consciousness is meant
Sita start dancing. Sita dance.
so chanting holy names is actually the most fun. Standing up.
उधर से चमकी
This is standard Kirtan, so you'll love this. Krishna, Krishna,
मम्मी देख नहीं जाता बताओ बताओ सीधा ये क्या था अरे बोल 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 बोल
Sra such a Shimad, His Divine Grace. Alaya Chalanama Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Thakur Ki Jai. Friends, say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Saim Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Majuram Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Purnamani Ki Jai, Shrimati Vasudeva Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanand. All glorious and simple devotees. All glorious and simple devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada. Ki Jai Ram Vishnu Viraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhule Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauranga Pachari Nivasesha Shinivadi Paschachate Jatari. Somaganat Madandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigarve Namaha. So what did you want me to speak about, Dauji? What did you want me to speak about? I know that. What we were talking about today. So that's what we were talking about today. Okay. So I'm going to make some reference to Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.25 in the Bhagavatam. It's a verse spoken by Queen Kunti. So, see if I remember it. Vipada Shantush Tapshashwat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavanam Apuna Bhavadarshana. So it's a very interesting verse. Queen Kunti, because today we were talking about, I'm not going to talk about miseries per se, don't worry. We were talking about basically how to be Krishna conscious. And I was quoting another verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Yomam pashati sarvatra sarvuchamai pashati tashaham na pranashami sachame na pranashati. And that's 6:30 in the Gita. And that verse states that one who's, Krishna speaking, he says, one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me is never lost to me, nor am I ever lost to him. So, the whole point is to see Krishna everywhere. And so, we find, going back to Queen Kunti's verse, which I quoted, she says, she says again and again is the miseries part. And again, send me miseries so that apunar vavadarshanam, I will not see the repetition of birth in this material world. Wow. Pretty interesting, isn't it? So, how do we deal with something like that? You know, again, does anyone want to pray like that to Krishna? No. Raise your hand if you're a masochist. Anyway, raise your hand if you want to. No, you don't want to pray like that. In fact, Srila Prabhupada stated, this material world is miserable enough as it is. We don't have to ask for more miseries. But the reason Queen Kunti was praying for miseries was not that a devotee should pray for miseries, but that whenever the Pandavas were threatened by any sort of disaster, Krishna came. And when there wasn't any disaster, everything was going well, Krishna went back to Dwarka. So that particular verse was spoken by Queen Kunti, where Krishna was leaving to go to Dwarka. This was after the Battle of Kurukshetra, after everyone was killed in the Battle of Kurukshetra, and Queen Kunti, she lost, her grandsons, and she lost so many relatives in that Battle of Kurukshetra. So she was asking Krishna to stay, basically. And in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we find Narada Muni is traveling around trying to find the best devotee of the Lord. He goes to the Pandavas and he says to Yudhisthira Maharaj, you're all the best devotees. And Yudhisthira Maharaj says, no, because whenever everything's going all right, Krishna's not here with us. Krishna only comes when there's some difficulty. And so right now, he said, we are actually trying to dream up some difficulty so Krishna will come back. So, as far as the difficulties in this material world, the challenges, difficulties, whatever you may call them, I call them challenges. One has to learn the art of seeing Krishna. In good times or bad times, one has to see Krishna and have the faith that whatever happens to one outside of one's control, because there are things that happen to us that are under our control, that we cannot blame Krishna for. For example, one time, the devotees had an automobile accident because they fell asleep while driving the car, and one devotee said to Prabhupada later on, it was Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada said, no, it was their foolishness. So, it's not that you could say, well, that was just Krishna, or I got angry with you because Krishna wanted me to get angry. That's not a very good excuse. We can control certain things. We're supposed to control our senses. We're supposed to, as much as possible, control what we can control. And of course, leave it up to Krishna. There's 5 factors of action. But we're in charge of the 4 factors, and Krishna's in charge of the 5th factor, which is the place, and, the endeavor, etc. But we don't have the jurisdiction of the super soul. So, therefore, we have to learn this art of seeing Krishna. So what do we do with these miseries when they occur? I said I wasn't going to speak of miseries. They're coming back. So, first of all, Prabhupada, because I'm making reference to this verse in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's purport, actually. Prabhupada said, that's one of the 4 reasons that people come to Krishna. People come Chatur Vidhala Shanti Mam. People come to Krishna because they're looking for relief from distress. They're under miseries. Or they're looking for wealth. Not too many people in the Western world come to Krishna because they're looking for wealth. Or they're inquisitive, or they're looking for knowledge. So we understand that. So we have to come to the point of praying to Krishna. Whether we're miserable or happy, we have to come to the point of praying to Krishna to save us from this material entanglement. Just like Lord Chaitanya states in the Shikshashtaka, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishvevaram bambudo kripya tava padapankaja stita duli sadrasanga chintaya. O son of Nanda Maharaj, I'm your eternal servant, but save me. You're like a child, like Prabhupada said, like a child crying out for his mother. That's how we should chant. So save me from this horrible ocean, Vamambudo. It's not simply birth and death, this horrible ocean of birth and death. There's that word bhava. Bhava means, basically it's a Sanskrit word for to become or to be. So that's the material world. We're always becoming or unbecoming or whatever. So, and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So we have to develop that particular mood of praying to Krishna. And that's, of course, the volume, the intense hankering that's necessary to become completely Krishna conscious. So, therefore, Krishna says he's misery. But on the other hand, Prabhupada comments, there are no miseries. Prabhupada said, this material life is like a dream. Prabhupada gave the example that at night we dream for a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and at daytime we have another dream that lasts for 100 years if we're lucky. And so at night the dream is over, and during the day the dream is over. So Prabhupada, in the same purport, because I've read that purport today to try to prepare to speak about miseries, that Prabhupada says it's like you dream at night a tiger is attacking you. And then you wake up and there's no tiger. So, of course this material world is not unreal in the sense that the Mayavadis say it's unreal, but it's temporary. It's just like, well, of course, another verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Nasato vijate bhavo nabo vavo vijate sataha ubayorapi drishto antas twanios tavadarshati. The sages consider those things which are temporary in one sense to be unreal, and those things that continue to exist in one sense, and in every sense, they're actually real. So that's our Krishna consciousness, to somehow or other become attached to the real. And so the way to do that, the methodology for doing that, is not to negate the unreal. That's I guess the Buddhist philosophy or nihilistic philosophy, where you say, I know I'm not the body. But not to negate the unreal, but to use the unreal in Krishna's service. That's called yukta vairagya. So many times you find immature devotees speaking about how you have to renounce everything to become Krishna conscious. You should just take sannyasa over you. Forget about your poor families. I remember when my first two sannyasa devotees told me this story. They said, here's a sannyasa story for all of you. They said, once upon a time, there was a man who was married and his wife just had a kid. And the wife died. And he was thinking, what am I going to do? And then he saw a little tiki-tiki. You know what a tiki-tiki is? It's a lizard. They go, those of you from Fiji know, or India, goes tiki-tiki. So, and he saw this tiki-tiki was this little baby tiki-tiki, and a bug fell down, and the tiki-tiki ate the bug. And he thought, oh, Krishna's providing for everybody. And then he took sannyas. So, it's one of these typical stories you hear when to encourage you to renounce this world. So, but that's not the way to give up attachments. The way to give up attachments is to be attached for the right purpose. This is what we spoke about today. We're attached to the wrong purpose of this world. We're attached to the purpose of enjoying someone in a relationship, for example. Like mothers attached to enjoying the children. To enjoy, they should become doctors or lawyers or something to make them proud. Right? The parents are attached like that. But that's not the attachment that will help you become Krishna conscious. We quoted this other statement that Prabhupada made today, that sometimes you're attached to something, it's like a thorn, and to remove a thorn, you got to take another thorn. So we have this principle of yukta vairagya, not falgo vairagya. Falgo vairagya means false renunciation, where one just looks at the whole world and says it's all Maya. Neti, neti, neti. So yukta vairagya means we understand Vishvam Purna, Shukayate. The material world is not miserable from another perspective. Why? It's a perfect arrangement to become happy, to become Krishna conscious, and also it's a perfect arrangement to utilize the things that we're attached to in Krishna's service. If we use them for Krishna, then we become attached in a nice way, in a spiritual way, in a Krishna conscious way. If you have a big house like Dauji Prabhu has, Dauji Maharaj, sorry. So, you always say that in India, Dauji Maharaj ki jai. So, just like he had this big house, but what is he using it for? And take care of it nicely. I mean, I remember one time, there was a devotee in the car, driving for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wiped his finger on the dashboard, and dirt came off. And Prabhupada said, who do you think this car belongs to? Krishna. So, Manasadeha Geha Yokishimor, Apilam Tuyapade, Nanda Kishore. My mind, my body, my home, my family, everything is yours in Nanda Kishore. So real renunciation is yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya means connect. Yukta comes from the root in Sanskrit, the word yuj, which means connect. That's the same thing as yoga. Yoga means to connect. Or in the Western world, we have the word religion, which means to reconnect. So yukta vairagya means to connect with Krishna by using things in his service. I probably use the example, use the microphone and so many things, guitar, whatever we're using in Krishna's service. So we should be attached for the right reason. Don't worry about your attachments. I don't worry about my attachments. I just try to do everything for Krishna. Just use those that I'm attached to. You know, it's like yesterday someone dropped my guitar, cracked it, so I was attached. I made him fix it. And they said, oh, it's just Krishna's material energy. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, be attached to your wife so that she becomes Krishna conscious. Be attached to your children so they become Krishna conscious. Be attached to your home so your home is used in the service of Krishna. It's Krishna's paraphernalia. And that way there's no miseries. No real miseries. Because misery is caused by material attachment. Like if you study Buddhism 101, that's the first thing you learn. What? Material world suffering. Suffering is caused by attachment. Give up the attachment. That gives up the suffering. Follow the Eightfold Path. Right living, right thinking, etc. So, we agree with that. But they do not know how to give up the attachment. Right? You give up the attachment by getting attached. And that's Krishna consciousness. And Krishna consciousness is also meant to have fun. Right? Not to be miserable. Like Prabhupada said to one temple president years ago, he said, the first duty of the temple president is to make sure everyone is jolly and eating enough prasadam. So, what does jolly mean? Jolly means extremely happy, not just, a little happy. Okay, are you happy? But jumping in ecstasy. So you're meant to be happy. You're meant to be attached to Krishna's paraphernalia, to use it in his service to please Krishna. You're meant to be attached to Krishna. You're meant to be attached to the deities. You're meant to be attached to the holy Dham. You're meant to be attached to Prabhupada's books. You're meant to be, he can have all these wonderful attachments. Just like I look at this nice picture of the deities that I've been worshiping for so many years, Radha Gokananda. I'm attached, it's just like, I'm thinking, when can I see them again? Because pretty soon, hopefully by Krishna's grace. So, that's a positive thing. And when the miseries come, you understand, it's Krishna. You don't blame someone else. Like Dharma the bull, he was being beaten by the personality of Kali, Bhagavatam story. And when that came, he just saw Krishna. He didn't blame the perpetrator. He didn't get angry at the perpetrator. Of course, not that we sit around and allow ourselves to be beaten. Still, we see Krishna's arranged this circumstance for my purification. Krishna's arranged it. So then, you understand, it's Krishna, what is he teaching me, and what should I do about it, right? We talk about that in New Zealand too. It's Krishna, what is he saying, what is he teaching, and what do I do? Then life becomes, you're always with Krishna. One sees Krishna everywhere and sees Krishna within everything, then he's never lost to Krishna, nor is Krishna ever lost to him. So any questions? Keep it short. Questions or comments anyone would like to make? Short and sweet. Problems? Gosh, you can't say problems. No? Anyone have any questions? Krishna Chandra? You're also shy.
Maharaj, you told me sometimes we commit mistakes and
Sometimes?
and we try to tell it's Krishna's mercy or accept it.
No, it's our fault. Our rascal.
Now, how do we understand that? How do we what things are Krishna's mercy and what things are mistakes? How do we?
Things that are under our control, that we're able to control. Like I gave the example of the devotees who had an accident, someone died from a car accident. That was under their control. They actually should have slept more that night. And after that time, I remember probably giving instruction that anyone who's driving long distances should sleep 8 hours a night. Because I remember in the early days of the movement, and I was just as guilty as anyone else, that we would sleep so little that we would take rest at the stoplights as we were driving. And the only thing that woke us up was the alarm clock of the horn in the back of us. So Krishna consciousness means, like Prabhupada said, common sense. Common sense. So use your common sense. And if you don't have any, just ask someone who has common sense. So, whatever you can control, you're responsible for, and whatever's out of your control. Like Dharma the Bull was confronted with Kali, the personality of the religion, personality of the age, and it wasn't under his control. Just like you're in a car, another example of car, you put a seatbelt on. Like when I go to India, for example, I put a seatbelt on and the driver says, no, you don't have to. Why are you doing this? And then when he gets to Delhi, he puts it on. Because there it's the law. I said, because I want to be safe. I mean, sometimes I even wear a crash helmet when I'm so we take precautions. And this body belongs to Krishna, so we have to take care of it nicely. Like if you're finding, here's a point that no one's going to like. If you're finding that your particular diet is causing you some physical challenges, and you could live longer by changing it, maybe you should do that, because you're responsible. You're responsible for taking care of the body. So you may think, Krishna will take care, no matter what I eat. Not necessarily true. Because you have to take care. You go to the doctor. Prabhupada had devotees go to the doctor. Otherwise you're taking service from Krishna. Say, I'm not going to go to the doctor, I'm just going to chant. Not a very good idea. So use your common sense as to what you need to take care of. I mean, ultimately, yes, it is up to Krishna. Ultimately, We are going to get sick, we are going to get old, and we are going to pass away. Take precautions. Okay? Another question? Yes?
Thanks for a nice class. My question is referring to you mentioned about Yukta Vairagya.
Yeah, Yukta Vairagya.
That's initial, when we hear about Yukta Vairagya, it looks very easy. That's yes, we are engaging everything in Krishna service. But sometimes there is a possibility that as a devotee, practicing devotee might fall down, thinking that yes, I'm going to use it, but instead of using it, maybe indulgence rather engaging. So how
that's true. So that's why we have the Association of Devotees. One of the first principles, Lord Chaitanya was asked, what is the quality of a Vaishnava? And he answered, Asatsanga Chagya Vaishnava Char. Vaishnava gives a bad association, and at the same time, a Vaishnava takes up good association. So the strength of a devotee's Krishna consciousness is determined by his Sangha, or his association. Prabhupada gave the example of sticks. You know, like one little stick you can break, you put a lot of sticks together, you can't break it. I can't break the bundle. So he said, we always remain bunched together. Prabhupada used that expression, bunched together. Then we'll be all right. Because let's say you want to, not you, but anyone, hypothetically, wants to engage something that's beyond their ability to engage in Krishna service. Let's say, okay, let's give the example of Ramananda Roy. Here's an interesting example. Ramananda Roy is an incarnation of Vishaka, and he was Lord Chaitanya's associate. And so one of the things he did was he taught the Devadasis how to dance for Lord Jagannath. And not only that, not only taught them how to dance, he dressed them, decorated their bodies and everything like that. So he has that adhikar, or the prerogative to do that. So let's say you think, let's say one of the devotees thinks, Krishna Chandra thinks, that it would be really nice, because he's from Auckland, it would be really nice to have a bunch of girls dancing. So he gathers up a whole bunch of girls to teach them how to dance. Of course, he has the association of his wife, who will hit him over the head and throw him over his head. No, but the association, that's just a really almost gross example. That if he has the association of devotees, they'll pull him back. And they'll say, you're not capable, you're not Ramananda Roy. Even Lord Chaitanya said that Ramananda Roy was the only one with the prerogative to do that particular activity. So Yukta Vairagya, part of Yukta Vairagya is keeping the association of devotees and taking guidance from advanced devotees, so we know what to and how to engage them in Krishna service. Appropriate renunciation. But generally, people find themselves in the Krishna conscious movement with families and children and everything like this. This is basically what I'm talking about. And they should look at their family as, of course, parts and parcels of Krishna, and they should look at their attachment and duty towards their family as Krishna seva, rather than something that they have to renounce. I mean, sometimes people take things out of context in the Vedic literatures, and they may try to imitate some personality, like Prabhupada, for example. They may try to imitate Prabhupada or some other renounced personality. And it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. First of all, everyone belongs to Krishna. We don't own anything. Ishavasham, idam sarvam, yatkancha, jagacham jagat, tena jiktena bunjaha, madhurha kashispitanam. As stated in the Upanishad, everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna gives you, the Supreme Lord gives you a quota to use in his service. But it's meant to be used for Krishna. It's like you may be working for a big man and driving the big man's car. But if you take that car and you go to the Hare Krishna temple with it, then you're violating the terms of the employment, and you'll get fired, even if you go to the temple. So one's meant to use Krishna's. It's a nice song. Wait till he turns off. Okay. That's nice. Like classical music. So one is meant to use Krishna's energy in his service. So if Krishna's given you something, that's your ingredients for serving Krishna. And that attachment to serving Krishna with those ingredients. You have a whole band together. That attachment to serving Krishna, utilizing his energy, will be a source of liberation. Because of your service to Krishna. So, in other words, I'm preaching against a mundane conception of renunciation. You understand? Even in Kali Yuga, the preferable stage of renunciation is called Kshetra Sannyas, where one remains with the family and serves Krishna fully. So, there's no problem. There's no problem. You can be more Krishna conscious than a sannyasi. But that depends on how much you're engaging in Krishna's service. And what you engage, Brahmarpanam Brahmana Vir Brahmano Brahmano Uttam Brahma Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhyam. As Krishna states in the Gita, that when one engages something in his service, that service and the person engaging it and the results of that service all become spiritual. You know, the example also given by Srila Prabhupada is that you put an iron rod into the fire and it eventually acts like fire. So even your body, if you use it fully in Krishna's service, be attached to keep it running nicely. And then that attachment will spiritualize you, the body, everything you do with the body, and ultimately you'll be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmadno Brahmanotam Brahmatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhyam. And the verse states, actually, it's interesting, it uses the example of Havir, which is ghee. So when you use ghee, when you offer ghee to the fire, it becomes spiritualized. I remember Prabhupada doing fire sacrifice in the early days, and so much smoke was coming out of the fire, and Prabhupada said, you smell this smoke, it's purified. Where someone smokes a cigarette, I don't think it's purified. I think it would give them cancer. So, or like the incense smoke, purified. So the same thing offered to Krishna becomes a source of liberation, a source, well, let's not even use the word liberation, let's use the word bhakti at this particular point, rather than the word liberation. So it's a very positive approach to Krishna consciousness, not like some of the early days of Krishna consciousness, where people have a negative approach to life. This way, you enjoy serving Krishna. Prabhupada wants you to be happy. That may come as a shock. He wants everyone to smile, be happy. Prabhupada said, returning hippies to happies. He didn't say we're turning hippies to renunciates. We're turning hippies to happies. So we're want everyone to be happy. Vishwam Purna Shukayate. Vishwam means the universe. Purna fully Shukayate is happiness. If one sees like that. So, any other questions? Yeah. If there's no other questions, it's Prashad or what? Dauji Maharaj? Oh, there you go.
Any other questions?
No? Oh, yes. Vaishnavi has a question.
Devotees have this weakness of heart because of deep-rooted attachment. Even in the association of devotees, it's
The weakness of heart is the attachment to enjoying something. Seeing yourself, Vishwaroham Ahambogi Siroham Balavan Sukhi, is seeing yourself as the enjoyer. All you have to do is turn it around, that Krishna is the enjoyer of this. I'm not meant to enjoy, to be the enjoyer of the family. If Krishna is the enjoyer, then you enjoy more. That's the trick. If you work for Krishna's enjoyment, then you get more enjoyment. If you're cooking for the deities, if you work to cook the nicest preparations for Krishna, then you will enjoy more. You know the story about, or the example Prabhupada gave about the root of the tree, water the root of the tree, all the leaves get watered. So we have to have faith in that. So that's the way to deal with that, attachments. Not that you get rid of the attachments, you turn the attachment around and you're attached to giving Krishna pleasure with that particular person, object, or whatever you have within your grasp. Does that answer the question? Yeah, otherwise, this whole thought of, extreme renunciation will be counterproductive to everyone's Krishna consciousness. Does that make sense? And then, like Queen Kunti said, the misery, or Prabhupada said, the misery will come anyway. And you see, what is Krishna saying? What am I supposed to learn from it? Okay, so Dauji has some announcements. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bir Krishna Das Goswami Maharaj ki. Thank you very much, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances again. Thank you for coming on a Monday night when it's raining. Really appreciate it, and thanks for your priceless association and blessings. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to thank Gurudev for such a nectarine class and sharing with us. And Gurudev will remain here for a short while. So if anybody had any questions that you could not ask, please feel free to come and meet him personally and you can talk to him. The next program here will be 1st, 2nd, 3rd of June, Bhagavatam every night starting from 6 p.m. And then followed by that on 4th of June from 2 to 6 p.m. we have Mahakirtan. So please, you are all invited and bring along your friends, family members. And those who have been here, are here for the first time, you can either see myself or one of the other devotees and give your names so that we can add you on the list and we can keep letting you know for any programs at any of our centers, temple or here. And just another housekeeping once again, the prasadam will be served outside from the back door. There are toilets outside. If you get out of the back door, right on the right hand side, and there's hand basin there as well to wash your hands. And toilets, if you go follow the corridor along on the left hand side, and you can use the toilets right at the back. And I think let's get together, chant the Harinam 3 times to thank Gurudev and thank all of you. So, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Sri Krishna Das Goswami Maharaj.